a lead enterprise architect and senior data scientist at Biogen. Nilesh Ajmani, coming from Boston, Massachusetts today. Nilesh, great to have you with us. Nilesh is an author of Achieving and Sustaining Secure Business Operations, has 30+ years of experience in solving business problems utilizing state-of-the-art technology. He has work experience in Fortune 500 companies in multiple industries, including healthcare, high-tech, automotive, oil and gas, semiconductor, banking, the Supreme Court of India, and Regional Indian Ministry on Industries. And Nilesh has successfully helped companies like EMC establish enterprise information practice, Shell, AT&T establish cross-company governance models to manage the global life cycle of IT services, and the Mayo Clinic to establish enterprise architecture practice. So here we are, we have a global expert, cross-industry expertise on enterprise architecture, and we're so thankful to have you share your expertise with us today, Nilesh.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you for inviting me for this event. I really appreciate. I am ready to go when you say.
You're good to go.
Okay, thank you everyone. So I know you have been through many topics between yesterday and today so far, and I have looked into some of them. I attended some of them. Those are good sessions, I would say, and they covered different aspects of enterprise architect usage in different scenarios. And I'm here trying to go a little bit beyond that, trying to explain how it is integral to have enterprise architecture for, specifically today I'm focusing on digital transformation and for any type of secured business operations. So this is why I try to cover these three elements into one topic by showing how they are interrelated and integrated. So today I will mainly focus on the 10,000 feet view of the business and the intertwined nature of these three areas. Then I will specifically talk at a high level about digital transformation, enterprise architecture, and secured business operations. And after conclusion, we will have a Q&A session. So from the 10,000 feet point view of business, their main focus is always on results, and it is very simple. They just want to get the good results. And obviously for that, they want to focus on improving their top line growth, improving their bottom line growth, and eventually getting the good profits or better profits. And to achieve all this, they're always measuring, and they have key performance indicators. And what we need to realize from this slide is that any initiative we work from the enterprise architecture perspective, our key performance indicators should align with the business key performance indicators, because that's how we can measure our success or our impediments and how we can improve upon them. So always tie to the business key performance indicators. Now again, I will give the 10,000 viewpoint of what is the intertwined nature in these three topics of digital transformation, enterprise architecture, and secured business operations. Now we all have heard about it. There are visionary ideas by business, and they come up with the business strategies. With our today's focus is on digital transformation. Now with this vision and strategy, primary drivers that are getting addressed are related to who, why, and what. And these are very important to understand to come up with any execution strategy. And enterprise architecture is used to come up with this strategy and roadmap. So that's why I call this as a vehicle that addresses how, where, and when.
Yes, no, recording.
Sorry, there is a disturbance.
Yeah, recording.
Okay, thank you. So continuing with the drivers and with the vehicle by addressing all these important elements, we get the results in the form of secured business operations. And that brings the results which are in the form of profits, improved brand value, and having a competitive edge. So the security element is key over here. That's how these three are intertwined, and I will go into details. What do I mean by their interrelated nature, and what are the common elements that should be always kept in mind. So coming to the digital transformation, now we know it is an umbrella term, and any of these below initiatives are called as digital transformation. There could be a combination of them, or there could be individually these initiatives, but we hear them as, oh, we are going through digital marketing transformation, or digital supply chain, or business to consumer digital transformation. So these are all good to put under this umbrella, but always keep in mind that whether you focus on cloud or connecting sales with service or any of these, you have to focus on the drivers, who, why, and what part to really understand what exactly business is trying to achieve. And for the successful digital transformation, the focus is always or should always be holistic. And it should focus from the get-go about what would be the change management and governance requirements. Now keep in mind, when you say digital transformation, that means in today's technology advanced world, that means connecting the things. And when you are connecting the disjointed things, there would be a greater requirement of change management and governance to achieve that. And that's why the focus should always be holistically on from the get-go on these elements. And obviously, when we are connecting the disconnected things or disconnected processes or people or organizations to achieve digital transformation, we would have to adjust the culture. Now, the culture adjustment is a relative term over here. It depends upon your current state and what you are trying to achieve, how much digital already you are, and where you want to go. So based on that, you will have to adjust the culture. You will have to adjust the strategies. And when you are going through this kind of transformation, it has impact to your other strategies for other business initiatives or technology initiatives. So all those would get impacted, and those needs to be adjusted so that when you are ready for the execution of digital transformation strategy, you have no surprises. As much as you can avoid them, that's the adjustment would help you to achieve. And obviously it would impact your operations. Now, digital transformation is a journey. It's not like a 6 months or a year project that you can achieve and forget about it. And you incrementally will add capabilities. You incrementally will transform your business, and you will have to adjust the operation so that your as is operations in the new environment can work. And when I say operations, I am talking about end-to-end operations, not like if you are focusing on digital marketing transformation. Marketing has impact to other operations of uh, sales processing or of your order processing or in financials. So you will have to adjust all those operations accordingly. And it would also impact to your technology. So all these adjustments are required, and these culture strategies, operations, and technology are the pillars that needs to be considered. And change management and governance goes across all of these areas. So that's how they are covered. And again, enterprise architecture, use that as a vehicle for achieving such transformation. Now I will go into enterprise architecture. I know it's not a new term for any one of us, but still I want to spend a couple of slides. What is enterprise architecture? We all have our own definition, and that is not I am here to talk about. But what I have found that it has not become a standard like a project management or agile. we have a certification for project management from PMI or other similar institutes all across the globe, and similarly for agile methodologies. For enterprise architectures, we talk about TOGAF and ZACMEM methodologies, but those are not the entry points for anyone to call or become as an enterprise architect. And for project management, it's kind of a given. So that's the difference I'm trying to mention. And we should reference the TOGAF and ZACMEM methodologies, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that if you don't follow that as is, you cannot achieve enterprise architecture goals and your business objectives. So those should always be considered as a reference points. And TOGAF, when I look into details, it addresses very well what and how part, but it touches on other parts in the development methodology. And through Archimat, they are trying to cover other things, but those are very technology based, not very easy for adoption for the business people or all across, even in the technology area. So I'm not going to preach on all that about details, but the main reason I'm bringing this is that we want to clear out some of the fundamental misconceptions about the enterprise architecture. And those are like, it is not a technology architecture. You might have heard terms like, I want enterprise Java architect, or I am an enterprise Salesforce architect. That is good. They are focusing on enterprise level, but they are not enterprise architects. They are having a domain on which they are using that architecture techniques. And it is not a business function architecture only. And it is not, like I mentioned, enterprise XYZ, which various domains you can pick up. So enterprise architecture is broad and it is for the enterprise, not focusing on any domain or any function, although we use all those terms. And the actual enterprise architecture, as I mentioned, it should address all these 6 elements and we should focus on that. And the more important part is what, where, how, and when. These are important because that's how you can determine what is required, where it is required, and when it is required, and you can plan how it should be delivered by covering these elements. So that's what I wanted to cover about enterprise architecture. And what is the framework? Now, it has business element from strategy, goals, and objective that addresses who, why, and what. And the purpose of enterprise architect is to align business with technology. And this alignment has all the intermediate, you can call them applications, you can call them services, you can call them systems or data. So all the alignment is required end to end between business and technology. And what do we mean by business and technology architecture? So business architecture comprise of, organization structure with skilled resources. Now these resources are not only people, it could be their other processes, their policies, which are all interconnected for them to come up with a business architecture. And these are in the form of existing capabilities, they have future use cases, they have people and process on which they focus. And this future use cases help us to come up with a future state capabilities architecture. And that is very important when you want to align business with technology. When you know the future state architecture, you have existing capabilities and some form that architecture, the gaps can be assessed. And again, focus on gaps not only from the technology perspective, but from the organization, people, process, capabilities, holistic perspective. That would allow you to come up with a future state technology architecture, that what is required. And after you know the future state technology architecture, you can then do the alignment by knowing the assessed gaps between the future state business architecture and technology architecture. And it's not technology is driving business or business is driving technology, it is the collaboration. So that's why this alignment is important. And as I mentioned, when you focus on enterprise architecture or any enterprise level strategic goals or objectives, you need to come up with a multi-year roadmap. And at the same time, as one of the deliverables, you have to focus on first year actionable plan so that you can address where, how, and when for the long term and as well as for immediate actions. Now, what is required for successful enterprise architecture for digital transformation? Now, we have talked about these alignments: culture, strategic, secured operational, and technology. These are the similar elements. And we know the cultural changes needs to be addressed holistically. You call them top down, bottom up, left, right. You look into them holistically, because if culture is not ready to adopt, then any kind of transformation could result into big failures. So you should focus from the success point of view. What are the cultural changes required? And generally, those can come only if they are addressed from the top leadership downwards. Otherwise, it is very difficult, because if the leadership is not embracing the idea of transformation, then the chances of success are very minimal. And again, the structural changes or the culture changes are in people, process, policies from the business perspective, and strategic changes that are important. Those are both from the business and IT. Because when we talk about eliminating the gaps in capabilities, it is both from the business side, and capabilities are both business capabilities and IT system capabilities. So we need to address both the gaps. And again, we have to address from people, process, technology perspective, strategically, what are the gaps that needs to be addressed. And in today's world, when we talk about operations, if those are not secured business operations or secured operations, we would result into failures. And security don't consider just at a technology level. That's why I am emphasizing secured business operations. So the focus should be there. And for achieving that, you need an ongoing governance and change management activities, because then only you can adjust your policies or come up with new policies as the business demand changes. And it's a journey, so you need the governance from the get-go of this transformation as perspective, and involving both business and IT, then only the success is possible. And technology changes are going to occur. You may need to even come up with new platforms. So look into it holistically, and that would result into successful enterprise architecture for digital transformation. And what do we mean by secured business operations? I have mentioned it many times. So how do we achieve? What does that involve? Now, the framework that we need to leverage, first of all, understand the business engagement model. Nowadays, if you look into this picture, you can start focusing from the core business to business, your connected business and digital business, which is connecting all across, internal, external. And if you see on my y-axis, we are moving from internal operational to external interactions as we go digital and as we connect businesses. So you have to understand, you are taking your business engagement model from which level to what level, and that would help you understand what kind of risk resiliency you need to achieve. And the greater the gap, the greater risk resiliency level jump you have to take. And that's a starting point to really understand what undertaking you are going to take, so that you are well prepared for it. And how do you come up with a secured business model once you understand the risk resiliency level and your business engagement model? So focus on 5 P's: prevent, protect, people, policy, and profile. And each of these are addressing the security element for the business model. Like when we talk about prevent, the good examples are You want to prevent the unauthorized access, or you want to prevent unplanned failures, and so on. Similarly, what do you want to protect? Your assets, your sensitive information, your integrity of your business. And people, you want to protect your people, which includes culture as well. And as well as you want to focus on policies and what kind of profiles you have for the risk resiliency level, what kind of vulnerabilities, what kind of risks those vulnerabilities can pose, what are the exceptions that you need to keep focus on, and what are the interdependencies. So that's how focus on 5 Ps. And what kind of secured operating model you want to create. So to create that secured operating model, there are 21 capabilities which are mentioned in this chart, and they all have obviously more details, but you need to focus on all of them, and these cannot be focused afterward. These needs to be integrated into your transformation from the strategy to your goals, objectives, to your results and your KPIs. So that's how you can align your business KPIs with even the security KPIs with the focus on achieving the secured business operations. And with the limited time, I don't want to go more into details, but if you are interested, you are more than happy to read this book, Achieving and Sustaining Secured Business Operations. Now, in a conclusion, as I mentioned, they are intertwined, there are interdependencies, they are interrelated, and they all three have major pillars: culture, strategies, operations, and technology. So if you focus holistically on these elements, and if you look into them as a collaborative, intertwined nature, not focus on operations after starting the strategic program, and then think of involving operational people later on, or considering operational changes later on. Not that way. It should all be integrated. And when I say enterprise architecture, you are looking both from the business technology, but holistically from your strategy to the operational elements. I think I am on my last slides. We can go for Q&A, and I'll give it back to Jose. Thank you, Jose, and thank you everyone for listening to it.
Very well, Nilesh. Excellent coverage from high level to the details on this interconnection. Very interesting. I'm gonna ask you to stop sharing your presentation so that the audience can see us in the bigger screen. Great, right there. Actually, I'm gonna change my background here for our Q&A because this is broadly speaking about not only digital transformation, but many of the topics that you talked about, but background's a little bit more appropriate. Now, Nilesh, the first question that I have is that when we talk about digital transformation and you talk about enterprise digital transformation, is digital transformation happening always at the enterprise level by definition, or digital transformation happens also as a business function only?
Well, ideally speaking, when you say digital transformation, it should occur at an enterprise level. If you focus only on a function and you say, I am going to digital transform that function, like an example I had given, marketing, it would be very challenging to make it a successful effort, because if you are going one area more digital and your other functions like sales or your customer service or your financials, if those are not digital, then it would be very difficult to connect with them and have a balanced operations. And that's why you should focus at an enterprise level, but in your planning, you can have a plan to achieve capabilities in one area or the other, depending upon your priorities and other interdependencies. So the good success is possible if you focus holistically and not just on a function.
Very well, very well. And Nilesh, one of the themes that emerged on the Q&A, on the questions that were posed by the audience, has to do with your cross-industry experience and expertise, and what you have observed, you know, the multiple in multiple industries, which is quite an asset to have. And the question is, curious about when you look at enterprise architects and what they are today. If you, what type of skills and capabilities do you believe that organizations value and maybe should value the most when it comes to enterprise architects? What type of things you think sets a great enterprise architect from the rest?
Well, obviously, the such an individual needs to have a business savvy and technology savvy background, because enterprise architect role is to align business with technology through architecture. So if the person is not savvy in either of these areas, it would be challenging. And the second element is, which is very key, is this person should be the one who can think outside the box. Because if you are just focusing in your company or even in your industry, you may not be able to come up with all the creative ways to architect the initiatives or even the conceptual level architecture that enterprise architect needs to produce, for which a solution can be created. Keep in mind, as an enterprise architect, you need to come up with the principles and guidelines, and those needs to be creative, pragmatic, and also having the focus which is not internally on your company or industry but across the board, so that you can think out of the box also.
Very good. And there's a two-part question that comes next related to your experience across industries as well. As you look at enterprise architecture around across multiple industries, what do you think may have been the common challenges that organizations are having across all industries in implementing effective value creating enterprise architecture structure systems?
The biggest thing is the term architecture, because you have IT architects, you have domain architects, you have product level architects, you have vendor level architects. So, and there is no standard definition. So having a clear understanding what enterprise architecture means, and if the industry is not providing the standard definitions, everybody has their own point of view, and we have seen in our presentations also, everybody has a different point of view, which is all good. But the point is, if you want to really establish it and if you want to manage the challenges, then it needs to be well thoughtful, one who can focus both on business and technology, and also who is the creative person, who can think creatively, who can think out of the box. These are the major elements that needs to be considered, and it applies to any industry, because every industry today is going through the transformation to be competitive in today's global market and in their local industry or local geography. So by one who can only focus in one area or one domain, or just focusing on business capabilities or business area, that may not give you the holistic success, but that may address some of the challenging or major fundamental elements.
Yeah, that's very good. You did mention even during your presentation there's some perhaps some gaps with respect to definition and standards when it comes to enterprise architecture, and you use the example of project management and the Project Management Institute, and there's been that's been around for quite some time, and maybe this is more of an emerging area that needs to be defined further. A follow-up question is on your experience now in biotech. Are there any specific unique challenges when it comes to enterprise architecture and digital transformation in a biotech setup, or they are the same challenges as everybody else?
I would say that there are some unique challenges which may not be as prevalent in other industries. For example, in the biotech industries, you deal with patients, you deal with healthcare professionals, and you carry their information, and you need to protect it. So the compliance are more rigid. The requirements from the regulation perspective are more rigid when you try to become global. And there are other industries where you may not have that much exposure. So there are some different challenges, but again, those are to set up the business. Like those are the fundamental challenges, like compliance and regulations. If you don't meet them, you cannot run the business. But to grow the business, I think the challenges are same. Data is becoming a big challenge to manage by everyone all across the industries, and they are facing similar challenges. So I would say there are few nuances in the biotech industries which the others may not have, even from the compliance or regulatory perspective. So those are the differences I can think of.
Very good. And from again on the enterprise architecture setup in organizations that are doing well, and you feel that they're doing it effectively and getting results. What type of governance do you see with respect to enterprise architecture? What does that look like in the organizations that perhaps do it well?
I think the J&J speaker, if I am not mistaken, her name Ida, she addressed one element towards the end of her topic yesterday, creating the catalog, business catalog or product catalog. So that type of cataloging is very important even in the governance of enterprise architecture. And that is one of the areas where enterprise architect contributes, because these catalogs, if I say catalogs of architectures, when we are just narrowing down on enterprise architecture, those are very important, because enterprise architect is looking at enterprise level, and you will see the traditional way the businesses has grown are with the silo mentality. Different functions are very good in doing their work, but they don't integrate or work on a day-to-day basis with each other. So they have a silo expertise, but not inter or cross-functional expertise, if I may call it. And when we talk about enterprise architecture, the architect collaterals that you have for a product or for a function or for a tool, those all needs to be very well understood how they interact with each other, because any architecture decision you make that may have impacts which you may not realize if you don't know that, if you do not have visibility of those interdependencies. So that's how the governance piece is to holistically look into various architectures, how they interconnect, and if they are not interconnecting, do they really are not interconnecting, or the architecture diagram is not showing them interconnecting? And if you make a change over here, what would be its impact? So all that needs to be well understood through governance, because governance is for sponsorship, for decision making, and for executing the small changes. So from that perspective, if you are not having a good visibility on the impact assessment, how would you know what kind of sponsorship is required or what kind of decision making is required?
That's very helpful. Thank you for that. I'll ask one final wrap-up question here. This, of course, the session talks about intertwining digital transformation, enterprise architecture, and secure business operations. And I want to spend a little bit more time on the secure business operations. What is your advice for chief information security officers who are looking to creating this intertwining, if you will, effectively? What do you see as best practices? What is your advice for leaders who are trying to do this right?
I think you raised a very important question, and like when you talk about secured business operations or security, you immediately mentioned in your question about chief information security officer, which is the biggest thing I am trying to address over here, that don't consider security or securing business operation just the responsibility or accountability of a chief information secured officer. That is what this I got the opportunity to write this book based on one of my speaking event in a cyber security conference when I addressed this topic from a different angle. And mainly you need to involve and make accountable all other CXOs also, because CISO has a very limited, I would say, purview in the complete enterprise, and they are reporting under CIOs, and even CIOs have a challenge getting attention from different business units when it comes to security, even though it has become a board level issue. But if you see, the trend is from board it goes to CEO to CIO to CISO. What about other CXOs? They are not even having any responsibility or accountability associated with this topic, and they are the most impacted subjects when anything goes wrong in the security. So my point of view over here is, which even this book addresses, how to make accountable all CXOs. I have provided the framework so that they can not only become accountable, but they can execute upon it to manage their accountability, manage their responsibilities, and it becomes a DNA of a complete enterprise and not just remain for the IT level or CISO to address it.
Well said. Well said. If you don't permeate that accountability across your entire leadership team, it's very hard to say that you have really achieved the security that you need. Nilesh, what a pleasure. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. Yes, please. You'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I want to add to it. As you mentioned, for achieving secure business operations, there is another element, sustaining it. So you can achieve something, but it is hard to sustain after that. So both for achieving and sustaining, you need to have CXO involvement, and sustaining obviously needs that governance, which is cross-functional with the decision makers involved on this topic. Thank you, Jose.
Nilesh, thank you so much. We very much appreciate you taking the time from Boston, Massachusetts to the world, cross-industry expertise in this area. And we very much value your time and sharing your expertise with our global audience today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Jose, for giving me the opportunity to come today and speak about this topic.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, Nilesh Ajmani from Biogen. Great to have you with us. So this wraps up day 2 of our Enterprise Architecture Live conference. So thank you for being with us. We're going to take a quick look at what's going to happen tomorrow, where we have day 3 and the final day of Enterprise Architecture Live. We're going to kick off with the first series tomorrow with the head of digital automation for Avaya, leading us through a discussion on the rise of digital twins and the impact on value chains and the enterprise architecture approach for digital twins. So that will be followed up by a presentation from Fifth Third Bank, and Fifth Third Bank is going to discuss, the senior vice president and the chief enterprise architect for Fifth Third Bank will share with us the emerging trends in application development and no code and low code apps that they're using in the finance industry. We're going to move on after that and have a deep dive with Roche and specifically with a leader of innovation and in the biotech biomedical industry, representing Roche in the discussion on innovation and digitalization and how they're scaling their internal innovation capabilities through digitalization. And then we'll wrap the day tomorrow with a presentation with on architecting an EA system, and that will be done by the analytics leader and AI leader at Dell. So we're gonna have great perspective from one of the experts in the field sharing directly with us his perspectives on AI and is an AI ecosystem specifically. So very much looking forward to those presentations tomorrow. Thank you for being with us today. Look forward to a great day again tomorrow. For those of you who have additional questions, would like to provide comments, suggestions, we have a post on LinkedIn that you can use for that. Just look under my name, José Perez. You're gonna find our Enterprise Architecture Live conference posting. Post your comments in there, your suggestions, your what has been useful and helpful to you in your own organizations and careers. So thank you very much. Look forward to tomorrow.